Hi, my name is Jenny Lauren Dowden for Conduit News, and today we are honored to have Washington County Judge Joseph Wood joining us in the studio. He was one of the first county officials to come out against the Biden administration regarding the COVID-19 vaccine, and we're going to talk about that today. Judge, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Ms. Jenny, for having me, your Conduit News, and your listeners and watchers, followers. Glad to be here.
Listen, so the Friday after the Biden administration came out regarding his 6-point plan regarding COVID-19 and the mandates for the vaccinations, that happened on Thursday.
That's right.
Friday, not even 24 hours after that was released, you came out with your own announcement saying that the Washington County will not require vaccines for their employees.
That's correct.
As well as you will not require negative testing for your employees.
Sure.
Tell us how you got to that decision.
So I was in, I think, southern part of the state and visiting, and I was getting notices, and I knew the president was speaking. After all the meetings and dinners, I ended up going to watch the whole program all over again because I couldn't understand what got people so. Well, after I watched it, I was probably as incensed as anyone else, and I just processed and started thinking. I said, I got 600 employees. I cannot have them going into a weekend thinking that if they watched what I watched, that their job may be in jeopardy, that I was going to be requiring anything of them, putting some new employment mandates on them, if you will. And so I called and sent a note to my county attorney that evening and said, this is a press release I want to release tomorrow morning. And it was that we will not be in the county issuing any mandates, and nor will be requiring tests. And so they got that out the first thing Friday morning. And I think to the relief of many employees who, again, had watched it and was wondering, how does that play? What does that mean for me? So anyway, that's how that all unfolded. It was really I think a major overstep of your jurisdiction, your responsibility. And then when you go and tell a private business that as well, it just became, I was just astounded that the president would do that, as opposed to saying what I would say, hey, I'm pro-vaccine, so, but I'm gonna encourage somebody. I can't dictate. I don't know their physical, their health, I'm not their doctor. I'm not their parent. I'm not their mother or father. To get frustrated about the 80 million people that he said that he was low patience and no patience and out of time, out of patience. Right. It could have been more of this 80 million you guys who are still wrestling with or thinking about, wondering about. Go spend some time with your health physician. Take your family. If you don't have one, go and see your county health physician. That would have been, I think, the better approach, as opposed to, no, this is what you're going to do. We are a country of freedoms and liberties, and you do not restrict those. You don't have the authority. So
that's a great point. And I think, one thing about this with the overreach is it's not that we are against vaccines. No. We are against the mandate.
That's correct.
And it almost felt as though when he made that announcement on Thursday, it felt like it was a war on liberty and,
absolutely right,
and almost a war on the unvaccinated.
That's correct. That's correct. I don't know what the outcome that he's looking to get, or any of the administration, or anyone who's across the country who's pushing and asking. No, not asking, because that's not even ask. That's dictating. Right. That's authoritarian. That's tyranny. What is the outcome? Because if we got a vulnerable community out there, those who are in the medical field, surgeons, doctors, nurses, and they're starting to walk away from their employment because of this, we already are being, we're already vulnerable. Yeah. We don't have enough doctors and nurses to do the work right now, let alone because of the pandemic, this added more burdens to their workload. Most employers have already been suffering, having enough laborers in the construction field, housing, my road departments, juvenile detention center. There's not enough workers out there. And if you're going to dictate what somebody has to do, that just to me tells me you're going to decrease your work population.
It's hard to reconcile those two things, isn't it?
I cannot. And I do believe, though, the entity that steps up, puts their hands up and says, hey, I'm a hospital, or I'm a medical unit, I'm a pharmacy, and we will not mandate these. We're going to encourage you to go get your vaccines and all. They're going to see an increase in those employment, because people will say, I stand up with companies like that or government entities like that. who's going to say, hey, they're going to be mindful of the liberties and freedoms of their employees.
That's right. Let's get back to your announcement. Yep. So you made that on Friday, September 10th. What type of feedback did you get once you did that?
Wow. So prior to me doing that, I had a lot of folks sending me notes, and I got a lot of emails from folks saying, we're watching you vote. Make sure you don't vote for mandates. And I think that there was a campaign out there to get to legislators. When you go to Little Rock, or if you're down in DC, make sure that you're voting on our behalf to keep our freedoms and our liberties intact. So I got a lot of notes about that, but that was not in I don't have a vote in that. That's legislators who do that. So when I made my announcement about my employees and what we're going to be doing here in the county, I think that just sent a note all to those who have been inquiring about that. Wow, this is what we've been seeking and asking and wanting. So I have far more support for this mandate decision to say, no, we're not going to have it than any pushback.
Several other counties, sheriffs have come out since your announcement, which was so encouraging to see. What would you say to those who are maybe considering it? They haven't come out, they're worried about maybe, right. What would you say to them?
Well, again, if you're in it thinking that it's all about you and the next election, then yeah, you might as well not say anything or stand. And again, mine was because I got 600 plus employees. And again, I'm always thinking about their best interests. And then the citizens of the county, the people who are working. I got nurses who are saying that they don't know what they're about to do because they're being given a deadline when they have to take this. I think if you're a county official, if you're a city official, if you're a state legislator, again, people voted for you to take a stand, and you took an oath of office to uphold the United States Constitution as well as the Arkansas State Constitution. And so within that, we have those freedoms: life, liberty, and pursuit of. We have inalienable rights not given to us by government, by God. And so those are the things that we need to be looking at and protecting. And so I would encourage, not going to mandate and dictate to them to do it, but highly encourage them to really consider the role that they're in and the oath that they took.
Well, you mentioned the legislators. They will reconvene on the 29th.
That's right.
Many are hoping that they will take up some type of COVID-19 legislation. What would you like to see happen?
That they would take one. I think it's a couple of things that they may be looking at if they bring that to the table. I know the biggest piece is going to be obviously some of the redistricting, but if they look at the COVID, and I think they did leave some room for that, whether it be allocating dollars for or pulling some away, would be what are we thinking about when it comes to employers who have this 100, if you have 100 people, et cetera, as well as looking at mandates in your public sector and your testing. So if they're going in, will they be looking at doing something to say, yes, we are in support of our citizens of Arkansas, that we're going to say, we want to encourage you, we want to make sure you get vaccinated. And if you don't know and don't feel that, that's on you and your doctor. But if you do, we want to hurry, but we're not going to dictate and mandate. We're not going to fine you. We're not going to do any of these things, understanding that there may be some legal consequences to that. And I think that there's many attorneys out there who's already in line, getting prepared and ready, that this may very well go to some of the highest courts in our country. So.
Well, let's shift gears for just 1 second. You recently announced that you are running for lieutenant governor.
Yes.
How is your campaign going?
Wow, it's been going. And I tell you, being the only candidate that is an executive and administrator, which is very much like the governor. I mean, there's no other candidate that operates a budget like I do, that has employees and hiring and firing, that makes decisions for the entire. So the governor is the one who declares an emergency. Well, I declare emergencies in the county. Emergency services, public safety and public health, I'm responsible for that. Veteran services, the governor has that, I have that. So as an administrator and executive CEO of one of the largest counties in the state of Arkansas, one of the fastest growing in the country, I think I do stand up heads above any of the other candidates. The only one who can do something with a mandate and pull that away from many of the employees that is impacted in my county, 250,000 people in our county, to kind of have that leadership and be elected 2 terms, and now running for lieutenant governor, former deputy secretary of state. So I've been able to do a lot of the work, sleeves rolled up.